The one counterpoint, I suppose, is because I do generally obviously feel we're starting to see the positive effects of Arteta. But one thing you'd see, I suppose, is maybe this has been a forgiving run, and there's maybe a little bit of fragility about it. That if they play the kind of wrong team now at the wrong time, it could come crashing down again.
Liverpool's next.
Liverpool's
next. We saw with Brighton, like I mentioned, Brighton, they're so organised, they're so well coached by Graham Potter. And we saw what that done with Arsenal. What else we see with Arsenal is that they're starting games very quickly.
Okay,
And when they score in that time, yes, they're fine. But then there's a period in the game, what we saw in that Leicester game with Aaron Ramsdale saving Arsenal, is that Arsenal kind of like, they feel like they're retreating. And the goalkeeper kind of kept us in that game. Then we moved again and kicked on again. But that's the worry, is how we manage the game. If we don't score early, and when you're coming up against a Liverpool, and like we did with Brighton were so good that those are the problems that he has to solve now. And with the Liverpool game coming up, it's a perfect barometer to see exactly where they are.
And the player that will be depending on amongst at least as much as any of the others, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Let's hear what he had to say. Given how much has been reported by Arsenal's young players about Arteta's new signings, how interesting was it to hear Aubameyang talking about the conversation that he had with Arteta about the captaincy?
I think it was interesting because Arteta's obviously recognised something in the way he's playing, or maybe the way his demeanour around the training ground, to actually ask him are you okay with the captaincy? Is it weighing too heavy on you? And what was really good to hear is that he said no, he wanted the responsibility, because I think that what's happening there is that Arteta seems to me, like you just saying there, Kels, while it was on there, is that he seems to have won him over. I don't think he ever lost him. I just think that what was happening with Aubameyang, especially in the times when we didn't have the players that I mentioned earlier, was making the team get up the pitch quicker. He had to do a lot more running in the direction. You don't want to see him running in, because we're talking about one of our oldest players. I think the other day it was him and Lacazette, and the next oldest player was 24, Maitland-Niles. So you don't want your oldest, most experienced and your best goal scorer tracking that way. So I think that was happening for quite a bit, and he wasn't happy with it. You could see he weren't happy with it. But now he's got so much creativity behind him. You're seeing him making the runs that we know he's famous for, because we can get the ball in there to him now. And I think that's what the manager maybe had to have the words with him to talk about, Kels, and just say to him, listen, I'll get it back, I'll get it right for you, but are you ready to still lead if this can happen? And he said, yeah, and it's really good to see.